Hello, I'm going to be presenting about the VR platform Virbela today and explaining what it is, how it's beneficial, and some of the drawbacks involved in using this platform. So let's start off by just giving a general overview of what Virbela is. Virbela is a virtual environment. It is not offering things like VR courses or VR content authoring, things like that. It is just the overall space that you are within, and then the tools are provided to create robust virtual workspaces, classrooms, and campuses for universities and organizations. Virbela has three main products. If you look at their main page, it looks like they just have two, Virbela Go and then just Virbela. But really, it's these three. They've got Virbela Go, which is the online version that does not require any downloading, and then the more robust platforms available through Private Campus, which is a smaller scale of virtual environments, and then Enterprise Campus, which is scaled for the entire company or the entire university. Virbela's main priority is to create virtual workspaces that allow for interactive presentations and collaboration among peers within those spaces. They have lots of presentation resources and tools. You've got the ability to present slides and PDFs and documents. You can screen share, you can use your webcam. There are interactive whiteboards and sticky notes that students can use as they're participating in a discussion. The presenter can also share videos or live stream, and they also now have the ability to demo software through web browsers. So lots of functionality within those virtual environments. Some of the educational benefits that come from what I just discussed are engagement. Students are fully immersed in that virtual learning environment so they can easily engage with their peers and with their faculty. And then tying into that is collaboration. Students don't need to just passively sit and listen to lectures or watch videos that are being presented. They can work with each other to better understand the content and share their own experiences. There's also the opportunity for them to do group assignments in breakout rooms, which facilitates collaboration and connection on a more personal level. Another educational benefit that, again, sort of ties in with those first two is interactivity. As I said, students aren't just going to be sitting there and watching. They're going to be actively participating in what's happening in that classroom. So they'll be participating in classroom discussions. There will be interactive presentations that allow for polls or games to keep them engaged and involved in their class and provide for a deeper level of learning. Finally, the fourth educational benefit I listed is a little bit different from those first three that are directly impacting the students' learning. The fourth one is integration. In this case, the platform allows for integration with the university's SSO and API, and through doing that, it will minimize the amount of time that students need to spend navigating between systems and figuring out how everything works together. And that in turn allows them to just spend more time actively learning. So of course, there are some technical requirements and accessibility to consider with this platform and any platform for that matter. So I do just want to preface this by saying I tried to find the most recent information for all of this, but sometimes it was a little difficult to know how recent the information was because I would read something one place and then occasionally I would see different information somewhere else. So I tried to base all of this off content I found from the past year. First of all, I recommend that if we go with this platform, we use the private campus option for what we're looking for. based off of the criteria I was provided, and that would require that the system be downloaded. And that will require the following operating systems: Windows 10 or newer, Mac OS 10.11 or newer, or Chrome OS. And that is actually something that has changed because a year or two ago, this was not available on Chromebooks at all. So it's good to see that they are making clear progress in terms of technical accessibility. Another technical requirement that we should just keep in mind is firewall configuration. There was a whole segment explaining how network settings and firewall configuration can impact connection to the virtual spaces. So we want to make sure that if we decide to use this platform, we are being proactive in setting our firewalls and network settings appropriately so we don't run into issues upon implementation. The third technical requirement isn't technically a requirement. It's VR headsets, and headsets are not required to use this platform. It can be used just through the monitor and operating systems, but having a VR headset in these platforms does greatly enhance the learning experience when VR mode is activated. And again, that was one of those things that I wasn't sure if they are still only sometimes activating VR mode or if at this point it's always activated because of the advancements that have been made over the years. Finally, Virbela had a pretty robust level of accessibility standards, and they made a clear statement about improving upon accessibility as technology changes. There was also a pretty big emphasis placed on making this an inclusive space and available to people who might otherwise not be able to attend certain courses or conferences and things like that based on physical locations. There were some challenges and limitations that I want to address. The first is that, as I mentioned during the overview of this platform, there is no ability to create courses within this platform. You can share presentations and content that you've created externally, but you cannot author VR courses, and there are no pre-existing courses available for you to use within this platform. Another limitation is who the target audience is. If this platform is implemented in the classroom, then that classroom needs to be targeted towards an audience that is available for synchronous virtual learning. And depending on the classes that we gear this towards, they could be more asynchronous versus synchronous. So we want to take that into consideration. Another challenge and limitation is just making sure that everyone has the appropriate hardware. Students who own older devices are going to need to obtain newer devices, and so we'll have to decide if that's something that we would be providing or they would be required to obtain before they took the class. And finally, a big challenge, and this is true for any VR platform, but goes for this one as well, is we're going to need buy-in both from faculty, because they're going to be the ones who are running these presentations and classes from these virtual spaces, and then also from students who are going to need to decide whether they want to attend courses in this format. I know for me personally, this would not be my cup of tea. I do not like virtual spaces. They feel very artificial to me because they are. And I also need an asynchronous environment because of my life. So depending on what types of courses we are looking to use this platform for will influence whether this is the right or wrong solution. Which brings me to my final recommendation. And as I just said, it really depends. I think it's a yes. This is a product I would recommend if we're looking to use this product for something like a small cohort that is going to really benefit from that connection and collaboration that comes from these robust virtual environments. It will also work well for courses that are already primarily run either live through in-person instructor-led sessions or through live virtual sessions, but just through more traditional methods like Adobe Connect. This platform is also scalable, and so if we decide we want to use it for more courses, it can be expanded upon if we have a positive experience. So that is just a positive thing to consider when choosing this platform. Now, I touched on this a moment ago, but I would not recommend this VR platform if our classes are primarily composed of students who are accustomed to asynchronous courses and who have limited time available to commit to those live sessions, because then it's not going to work for them. They're not going to be able to commit their time to being in person, so to say, for these classes. I also just don't know what the pricing is for the product that I am recommending, which is the private campus option if we do go with this platform. So the ROI can't really be determined until that information is available. And I can't give a solid recommendation until we really know what that is. I think that once I receive additional information about what you are looking for these various classes and what those classes entail, I'll be able to give a more solid recommendation. Thank you for your time, and I have included a list of the various links within the Virbela website that I used for this presentation.